As the structure of desire begins to reveal itself, an important distinction starts to emerge, one that is often overlooked: the difference between pleasure and desire. At first, the two may seem inseparable. A pleasant experience occurs, and immediately there is a movement toward wanting more of it. So it appears that pleasure and desire are the same. But when attention observes carefully, they are not. Pleasure is immediate. It happens in the moment of direct experience. A beautiful image is seen. A sound is heard. A sensation is felt. In that moment, there is a natural response, a sense of enjoyment, a feeling of aliveness. There is nothing wrong in this, nothing psychological yet. It is direct, complete. It does not require continuation. But then thought enters. It remembers the pleasure. It labels it. It says, "That was good." And then something changes. The mind begins to move. I want that again. I should repeat that. How can I have more of it? This is the beginning of desire. Desire is the movement of thought trying to sustain or recreate pleasure. It takes a moment that is complete in itself and extends it into time. The past pleasure becomes memory. Memory becomes image. Image becomes pursuit. And in that pursuit, the present moment is no longer enough. It becomes a means, a step toward repeating what has already been. This is where conflict begins, because pleasure cannot be held. It happens, and it ends. But desire wants continuity. It wants to extend the experience, to repeat it, to maintain it. And because that is not always possible, frustration arises, disappointment, restlessness. The more the mind chases pleasure, the more it creates tension around it. The more important it becomes, the more fragile it feels, because its loss becomes significant. This reveals something fundamental. Pleasure in itself is not a problem. It is natural. But the movement of turning pleasure into desire creates psychological complication, because it introduces time, expectation, attachment. And when attention sees this clearly, something begins to shift. Pleasure can be experienced fully, without being turned into something to pursue, without being extended through thought. It can arise, be felt, and end, without leaving behind a movement of wanting. This does not reduce enjoyment. If anything, it allows it to be complete, because it is not being interfered with, not being turned into a problem, not being carried forward. And in that, something becomes clear. The issue was never pleasure. It was the movement of thought trying to hold on to it. And now, that movement is being seen as it happens in real time. When the full movement of desire is seen clearly, from perception to sensation, to thought, to pursuit, something begins to change in the way action unfolds. For most of life, action has been closely tied to desire. You want something, and so you move toward it, or you don't want something, and so you move away. This creates a constant push and pull within experience, seeking, avoiding, choosing based on attraction and resistance. And while this may seem natural, it often leads to fragmentation, because action is no longer guided by clarity. It is guided by desire, which is rooted in thought, in memory, in projection. But when desire is understood, not suppressed, not controlled, but seen as it forms, its influence begins to shift. It does not disappear completely, but it is no longer automatically followed. A sensation may arise, a thought may say, I want this. But now, that movement is visible. There is a space, a moment where the impulse is seen rather than immediately acted upon. And in that space, something new becomes possible. Action is no longer compelled. It is no longer driven by the need to fulfill or escape a sensation. It can arise from a different place, from clarity, from direct perception, from what is actually needed in the moment. This creates a very different quality of living, because the mind is no longer constantly moving in pursuit of something. It is not chasing pleasure, not avoiding discomfort. It is present. And from that presence, action becomes simpler, more precise, more appropriate to the situation. There is no internal conflict about what should be done, no division between what is wanted and what is necessary, because desire is no longer dominating the movement. This does not mean that life becomes dull or without enjoyment. It means that enjoyment is no longer the basis for action. It is no longer something that must be pursued. Pleasure can still arise, but it does not dictate. It does not control. It does not create dependency. And because of that, there is a sense of freedom within action. Freedom from compulsion, freedom from constant seeking, freedom from the cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. Life continues, movement continues, but it is no longer organized around wanting. And in that, something very quiet begins to emerge. A kind of intelligence that is not driven by thought, not shaped by past pleasure or future expectation, but grounded in what is, now. And from that, action flows naturally, without conflict, without pressure, without the need to become something through what is done. And in that, something becomes clear. When desire no longer controls action, action becomes whole, not divided, not driven, but complete in itself, just as the moment is, already. After the ending, a fear begins to reveal a different quality of living. Another movement within the mind starts to become more visible. desire. At first, desire appears simple. Something is seen, something is felt, and there is a movement toward it, a wanting, a pull. But when observed closely, desire is not just a natural response. It follows a very specific structure. There is perception, then sensation, then thought. An object appears, something visually appealing, emotionally significant or mentally stimulating. In that moment, there is a simple perception. No problem, no movement yet. Then sensation arises, a pleasant feeling in the body, a sense of attraction, energy. And up to this point, there is still no psychological complexity. But then thought enters. It recognizes the sensation, names it, associates it, and begins to create an image. This is enjoyable. I want this. I should have this. At that moment, desire is born. Not at the moment of perception, not at the moment of sensation, but at the moment thought identifies with the sensation and extends it in time. It is thought that transforms a simple feeling into something to be pursued, something to be repeated, something to be maintained. This creates movement. The mind begins to seek, to reach, to imagine having the object, to anticipate the experience. And in that anticipation, the sensation is prolonged, strengthened, reinforced. Desire becomes not just a momentary movement, but a process, sustained by thought. This reveals something important. Desire is not just about the object. It is about the continuation of a sensation through thought. The object is secondary. What is actually being pursued is the feeling associated with it. And thought keeps that feeling alive by imagining it, projecting it, returning to it. This creates a loop: perception, sensation, thought, desire. And once this loop begins, the mind is no longer simply experiencing. It is seeking, moving towards something, trying to recreate or sustain a particular state. But when this entire structure is seen clearly, something begins to shift. The question is no longer about controlling desire or fulfilling it, but about understanding it, seeing exactly how it begins, how it forms, how it moves. And in that seeing, the structure becomes visible, not as an idea, but as a living process unfolding in real time.